Hello there and welcome back to another one of my thrilling videos. It's great to be back. And as I sometimes say, I haven't done one of these videos for a little while, so I always enjoy putting them together, collating all of the stuff and sending it out there for your viewing pleasure. So without further ado, let's crack on. And you've probably already figured out that we are going to be looking at the Sony DCR-TRV140E. And I probably should mention that this was yet another charity shop pickup. I picked this up on the 20th of April 2024 for the princely sum of 25 UK pounds. So a real bargain. And I mean, how lovely is that box? Unfortunately, it didn't have the polystyrene inserts. However, it did come with the controller and a nice little carry strap. The only strange thing was that the actual camera itself, little Handycam, little strap that goes around the hand, that was slightly deteriorated. But other than that, it was all good. So as usual, I'm just going to set the scene. What was going on in the world when this camera came out? Well, the Sony DCR-TRV140E is a digital 8 camcorder which launched to market in 2002. And effectively, a digital 8 camcorder was using the same digital technology that mini DV camcorders use, but it was just recording it onto a high 8 cassette in effect. And I think I'm right in saying that that meant that it was recording twice as quickly onto the high 8 tapes. If I'm wrong, then please correct me. But it was the best way of getting content out of your video camera if you were still using high 8 cassettes. They did bring out digital 8 cassettes, but they were effectively, I believe, the same thing. So anyway, this launched to market in 2002. And what was going on in 2002? Well, politically and socially, 2002 was an incredibly important year because of the 9/11 terrorist attacks the year previous. This had a huge influence on society, and for me at least, this was the very early stages of a societal shift and the end of the analog era. Not the end straight away, but a progressive change. And just a point for you to mull over, 5 years after this camera was launched to market, the iPhone was launched, and we know, how the rest of that went. In popular culture, the GameCube was introducing itself to Europe and Australia. That's the year that I grabbed my GameCube on launch. Brazil won the World Cup. The Anaheim, I think that's how you pronounce it, Anaheim Angels won the World Series, if you're stateside. The NFL title was won by the Tampa Buccaneers, it's a cool name. And the Patriots won their first Super Bowl in their history, all the way back in 2002. In popular music, Eminem released his third studio album, and it's a good album as well, The Eminem Show. The Streets, which is a UK-based act, released their seminal album, Original Pirate Material. And Johnny Cash released the amazing, and I mean that, amazing American 4, The Man Comes Around. And that was 1 year before he passed away. At the box office, Christopher Nolan released Insomnia, starring Al Pacino and Robin Williams. Star Wars continued its prequel trilogy with Attack of the Clones. And Anthony Hopkins reprised his role of Hannibal Lecter in The Amazing Red Dragon. And talking of Eminem just previously, Eminem also starred in his biopic 8 Mile, in which he won an Oscar. Phenomenal. It was a really good movie. I really enjoyed 8 Mile. And last but not least, in television, X-Files was coming to the end of its 9-season run. Obviously, it did continue in the 2010s, but its original 9-season run was coming to an end. And Friends was into its penultimate season. So, as Frank Sinatra put it, it was a very good year for media. And that was kind of the landscape in 2002. I was still at college in 2002. Obviously, when this camera came out, I'm not quite sure, but I finished my media studies degree in around about June of 2002 before I went off to work in the big wide world. And you see how that went. I'm here making YouTube videos. But yeah, that's a little bit of a context, of when this camera come out. Oh, I suppose I should tell you what to expect in the video. That would be useful, wouldn't it? Put my notes away too soon. So as per usual, this will be a video which tries to look at every aspect of the camera. And as soon as this introduction is complete, I'm going to give you a closer look at the camera. And then I'm going to briefly take you through the menus with some working examples for demonstration purposes. I think that worked a little bit better. There are a few demos of the camera's low light capabilities, because it's actually got some really good low light capabilities. Before, you were greeted to a short video of my trip to Norwich, which I shot just for you. Yep, you and you and you, which I shot for you on the 17th of June. 2024, to show you kind of like how the camera works in the kind of like, you know, out in the field. Yeah, so, you know, just let me know your thoughts about anything in the video, and I look forward to replying to you. Okay, so as promised, we're going to have a quick look at the camera, and what a lovely thing this camera is. I do say that a lot about cameras, but this thing is just so well designed, and I feel constructed, and it's just a thing of beauty, really. So what we're going to do, just have a little look at the front of the camera. Here you can see the little lamp at the front here. Take off the lens cap, and for you nerds out there, Sony video lens, optical 20x zoom, f 3.6 to 72mm. So if you want all that information, there you have it. And at the front here we have our mic. So we're now going to go around to the side of the camera. Let's pop that back on. So what can we see here? Well, if we hold the camera there, we have your night shot options here. So at the moment you can see night shot is switched off, but if we want it on, we just push it up like that. However, if you want to use color slow shutter, it's a bit of a mouthful, you have to turn this off in order to use it. So yes, be careful there. The stickers are still left on the camera, which is lovely, telling us all about the stamina battery life, USB streaming, and info lithium batteries. It was an exciting time. Then on the side here we've got digital Handycam, obviously just reminding you that it is a digital 8 camera with the model number, and then we've got a little LED on there. Just going to turn the camera on so you can have an idea of how that looks when the camera's switched on. So you have the little digital 8 symbol, and then obviously it will take a moment for it to figure out the battery time, and it will pop up and show you. And then obviously where you are on the tape with the time code there, turn that off. So now if we just press a little button there and pull the screen out, there you have it. So there's our fold out LCD screen. It's a little bit smaller than I would have expected for a camera from 2002, but it is a color monitor. So again, I'll just turn that on just for the benefit of the audience, just so you can have a little look at the monitor. So if we just turn that around there, turn it around there, let's look at the Apple logo. You can see it's nice and clear, and you can obviously amend the brightness of that in the settings. So now we're just going to turn the camera off again to save our battery. Now inside the fold out LCD you have some buttons here to bring that a little bit closer. You have the volume volume buttons. So if you're playing back video, you can adjust the volume. You then have a display button, so you can turn off the onboard display, toggle it how you want. We have an end search button, so you press that and that will find the last thing that was recorded. We have the exposure button, so you can amend the exposure by pressing that and then using the little toggle wheel at the bottom here. We have your title button, apologies for that. Press that and you can put any number of titles on the screen, which you see in the video a little bit later. You have PB zoom, and do you know what? I've forgotten what PB zoom is. So now I'm going to go and find out what it is and come straight back. Right, okay, I've just found out what PB zoom is, although I still don't know what the PB stands for. And apparently PB zoom enables you to enlarge moving and still images recorded on tapes. I don't know when and how I would use that. I must have forgotten to test that, but oh well, maybe you can test that and get back to me and share the results. Obviously, we have a menu button just here as well, so if you want to go through the menus, which you'll see in the video, then you can press that button right there. Okay, so moving around to the back of the camera, we have the viewfinder. This is actually a retractable viewfinder, so we can pull that in and out, and we can move it up and down, which is always nice. We have a few buttons on the back here. So we have fader button, backlight compensation button, focus button. So if we was to press the focus button, we would use this little wheel. Same for the backlight and same for the fader. We would select what we wanted or whatever, and then we can click this wheel in, because it's one of those ones that you can kind of push in as like a little button. On the back here, we have the battery. If you are interested, I'll just pop it off. And the battery on this camera is NP-FM30. And there you go. Then moving around to the side of the camera, we have our little lever here, our little button, whatever you want to call it, where you can turn that onto playback mode or put it onto camera mode. And then just put this lens cap back on. Obviously this side you've got the tape. So now we're going to look at the top of the camera. So you have your light. So we press that when we're recording and that will pop that little light on. You have your stop, rewind, play, fast forward and pause buttons on the top. And then you have your wide or telephoto functionality on the top. And then last but not least, we have your photo button. So we click that and it will take a still image, but that gets recorded to a tape and not a memory card because there is no memory card functionality on this camera. So I think that's largely everything on this camera. Again, if you've watched similar reviews of mine, you'll get you'll feel like you understand these cameras. I think the last thing just to say is that down here, if you want to get the images off of your camera, you've got an S-video out here, you've got a standard AV out here, and then you've got your digital out, or your iLink, or your DV out. So obviously that's quite useful because you've got every option to get the video out, lowest quality being AV, next best quality being S-video, and then the best quality being the DV out. One thing that is lacking from this camera, which I was disappointed about, is again, there is no internal mic for this camera. So everything that I've shot is using the onboard mic, which is good, but it's interesting that certain video cameras older than this would have a mic interface, but this one doesn't have one, which is a bit disappointing. But overall, it's a lovely camera to handle. All the buttons feel really good, and it's just a really lovely thing, isn't it? So that's a close-up look at the camera. I hope you enjoyed that. But there is one more thing that I would just like to show you actually, and this is something that I had never experienced on a Sony Handycam before. So when I got this camera a few months ago, I was trying to figure out how to eject the tape. Now on the older cameras, there was a mechanism on the bottom where you had to put a little lever and then click it open and the tape would come out of the bottom. So I was looking for that and I was at a total loss at how to get the tape out. Well, look at this. How lovely is this? The way that you eject a tape on this here is like a little gate. So what we do is we pull this up. How cool is that? And then here we have an eject button. So we now hit the eject button. And now we can take our tapes out of the top of the camera as opposed to the bottom of the camera. But I just thought, what a lovely piece of engineering, because they've incorporated the playback buttons on the top of this little gate and it all works seamlessly. So how cool is that? I'd never experienced that before. Bit of a nerdy thing that, to be fair, but yes, there you go. That's a close-up look at the camera. Okay, so just a quick look at the menus that you can expect to find buried deep inside the TRV140E, and actually they're quite straightforward, and if you see my other videos you'll have a good idea about what you're going to see here. So to start off with, we're going to be looking at the manual settings, and we're going to start off with Program AE, and as you can see here, as we all know, they're just your automatic exposure settings, spotlight, portrait, sports, beach and ski, sunset and moon, landscape. So if you're in any of those scenarios, they're the settings to go to. So we're going to come out of that now and we're going to have a look at the picture effects. And here they are actually out in the field. Hope you enjoy. And next up we have the digital effects, and once more, here they are out in the field. I hope you enjoy. Okay, one all. So I just thought I'd just come and do a little live test of the digital effects on this camera. You've no doubt saw them in the demo, but I just thought I'd just quickly run through them. And basically they all work on a principle, is that you've got like a scale of, say, like 1 to 10, 1 being the lowest, 10 being the highest, and effectively you can just make images do what you want dependent. So we're going to start off with still image. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to move my hand up and down on each one so you can see when it's right at the bottom, and then we go up, so we go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16 steps, and now you can't see my hand. And on every one of these digital effects you can run up 16 steps. So as we come back down, you'll see my hand again. It's all very trippy. So that's still. So the next one we're going to look at is flash. There's my hand, and we're going to go up the steps. So again, this is flash. And when I'm used to use these effects back in the day when these cameras used to be around, I always used to wonder, what would I use these for? So now the next one is looming. So again, we're going to take it down to 0. I'm sorry that I can't actually show you the actual screen. It's because I've decided to record it without the capture device, but I'm sure you'll let me off. This is just running purely through the camera. So this is looming. It's quite interesting, isn't it? Take it down to 0. So this is trail. This is a bit trippy. That's the top, and then we're going to come down. And there you go. So we have 2 more left. We have slow shutter, and there's an option of 1, 2, 3 and 4. So there's no scale, or there's no 1 to 16 here. So 1, 2, 3 and 4. And then we move back through them, cycle back through them. And then last but not least, we have old movie. So as you can see, old movie going there, select it. But you can also have automatic shutter, but let's turn it on just for the purposes of this. Automatic shutter on, turn that off, and then we're on to old movie as well. So there you have it. And lastly, automatic shutter, which activates the electronic shutter when shooting in bright conditions. So there we have it. And now we can move out of this setting, and we're going to move on to camera settings. So first up is digital zoom. You can have either 40 times digital zoom or 560 times digital zoom. And here's a little example of that in the field. Okay, so this is 40 times zoom. There's a test for 560 times zoom. Just come up to halfway mark. Roughly that's the shots out there. And that's full zoom. Or 560 digital zoom. And we're back to normal. And then we have the setting to change the screen ratio to 16:9. And then you have steady shot on and off. We want steady shot on because that's a very useful feature. Next up, we have the option to turn off the night shot light. No idea why you'd want to do that. Then we have frame record, which enables you to create a stop motion animated effect using cut recording. Never used that. And then you have interval recording, which enables you to record a time-lapse type video. Again, I haven't used that on this camera, but very useful to know it's on there. Right, okay, let's move on. So on the next menu, quite helpfully, we have an LCD/viewfinder settings, so you can amend brightness or the backlight on the LCD or the viewfinder. It's that straightforward. And now we move on to the tape settings. You have your record mode, so you can go between SP and LP. You can go then on to audio mode and change it between 12-bit and 16-bit. Again, useful if you want to shoot in a specific way. And then we have a setting for how much tape is remaining. We can leave that on automatic or leave it switched on. Okay, next is setup menu. So we have the clock settings where you can edit the clock. You have the ability to activate the USB stream feature, either on or off. You can amend the letter size from normal to twice as size in font, which is good. And you can also change the language. Obviously we're in English, but there are many options on this camera. We have demo mode. That's not activated, but that's what you saw at the beginning of this video. And now, last but not least, we're now going to go into others. So in this final menu, we can change the world time if we choose to do so. We can amend the noise that the camera makes, have a melody or neither. Next we have commander. That's to do with your remote control, so we need to turn that on in order for the remote control to work. Next up is display, and that's quite important because you wouldn't be able to see the on-screen text without me being able to toggle between V out LCD and just LCD. So if I switch this off, you'll see it will disappear. So really important setting that. And then we have a setting to turn the record lamp on and off. Again, I don't know why you'd do that unless you was in a setting where you didn't want it interrupting people, but there you go. They're your standard settings. I hope you enjoyed that. Now, just a few more settings you might be interested in. When you fold out the LCD screen, there are a couple of buttons there. One is an exposure button that enables you, as you can see, to amend the exposure on the camera manually, which is really useful. But also, that's where you find the title button. And it's from here that you can select the many custom-made titles, or you can create your own title and display it, which is really useful. Now, just a few more now. Underneath the viewfinder of the camera, there is a button that says fader. And if you press that button, it will cycle through the various different faders which are available to you on the camera. And when you're ready to use them, you would just hit the record button to start that process. Then there's a backlight button, which is effectively backlight compensation. Well, it is, not effectively, it is. And then last but not least, there is a manual focus button. And you press that and then use the little wheel on the back of the camera to focus. And there you have it. So here, just doing a quick demonstration of colour slow shutter. And it's recommended that you do it around kind of twilight. Fair enough, it isn't quite twilight as we're just into early summer here in the UK, but you can see that it's not exactly bright anymore. So I'm now going to press colour slow shutter, but you mustn't have the night vision turned on, and this apparently allows you to film better colours in low light situation. There we go, I'm on the tripod. I'm just going to move it around a little bit. Be a little bit jerky, but as you can see here, it is enabling me to see more colour. Just going to zoom in a little bit. So that's just a demonstration of colour slow shutter, which isn't a bad option. I've never used that before, but you can see, just to say it sometimes goes out of focus a little bit as you move the camera, obviously, but it's doing a good job, I'd say. Just turned off colour slow shutter. Just a quick test on the lamp or the light on the front of the camera. Just going to press that button now. Oh, and there you go. You can see the ornaments there in the garden. That's a pretty good job actually. It's not that bright, but if I turn it down here, you'll see probably about 3-4 foot in front of you. Not too much further than that. There you go, that's the lamp, I should say. Now, here's just a classic night shot test. I'm in the room where I make all my recordings, and I put the Sony box on the top, so I'm going to turn night shot on now. And remember, we're quite close to the object, so it'll be a little bit brighter than normal, but... And there you have it. That is a classic night shot picture, and if you can imagine, if we were out in a field or something like that, it would be illuminating the field quite nicely. I'm going to try and get one more shot for you. So here's another example. Really warm here in the UK at the moment, and I've got my fan on, so you can't see anything right now, but now I'm going to put night shot on. So again, you can see the night shot was a really useful feature, and I still think it is a really useful feature. You don't really get such things on modern day phones because they have such amazing low light capabilities, but when that wasn't available, this is what we had to use, and I think you can say that it was a really useful thing. So there, what do you think? What would you use more, colour, slow shutter, or night shot?
Ladies and gentlemen, we will shortly be arriving into Norwich.
So what did you think? Do you own one of these cameras? Are you tempted to pick one up? It's a lovely camera, I'm not going to lie, it's really nice. And I'm in two minds about whether or not to keep it or to pass it on. I wonder. What do you think? Should I keep it? Should I pass it on? Who knows? But anyway, hope you liked the video, and I'll see you all on the next one. Cheers! What was that?